So we're gonna do standard form. Standard form is a measurement where we write it in this particular manner, where we use the amount multiplied by the measurement that we want. So if we look at the amount here, for example, if it's 3.2, standard form, the number must lie between 1 until 10. If it is more than 10 or less than 10, then we have to multiply it by this 10 to the power of something. For example, if it's written as 3.2 times 10, the answer will be 32. But this one here, 3.2 times 10, is considered to be the standard form, where the first number here is between the range of 1 until 10, and then multiply by the multiplier here. If it is less than 1, means you have to multiply by 10 to the power of negative something, if it's lesser than 1. If it's more than 10, then you have to multiply it by tens. So this is multiplied by 10 to the power of 2. This is the standard form for this, 320. So if you know how to multiply your decimals, you will know that when you multiply by the tens, the decimal place will move to the right. So for example, 3.2 times 10, you see the decimal place move to the right, becomes 32. 3.2 times 10 means times by 100. 2 zeros means the decimal place will move 2 to the right. 1, 2. So you get 320. Same goes to this, 3.2 times 10 to the power of 3. You get 3,200. So these large numbers will be represented in standard form between number 1 and 10, and then multiplied by a suitable power of 10. Only number that are bigger than 10, you have to multiply by 10 to the power of something. The something here will be positive. For example, if you want to write 320,000 in standard form. So in order for you to do this, you need to remember where the decimal place is. So normally for something that doesn't have a decimal, the decimal place is at the end. If you want to calculate, you want to multiply by 10 to the power of what? We need to make sure that when we move this decimal at the end, the number will be like this, between 1 until 10. So we need to move the decimal place by 1 time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need to move it by 5 times. So if we will know that, we have to multiply by 10 to the power of 5. Depending on how many times the decimal place will jump, that is how many times you have to write it here. Okay, so if we need to calculate using standard form, we have to make sure that they are of the same power. Okay, if you want to make sure that they are of the same power, then it's easier. If you don't want to, if it is plus, then you need to make sure the same power. If it's multiplied, then no need. So multiply and divide, we don't need to make sure that it is of the same power. So if you look at the first example here, 3 times 10 to the power of 5 multiplied by 2 times 10 to the power of 6. So since it's multiplication, we can just open up the bracket as usual, and then you can see that they move the numbers. So 3 will multiply by 2, we will get 6. 10 to the power of 5 times 10 to the power of 6. If you remember the law of indices, when power times power, we will have to add them together. So our answer will be 6 times 10 to the power of 11. This one here, power will add while the number will multiply. So don't take 10 times 10 and say that, oh, it is 100. You cannot do that because technically what happens here is 3 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, 5 tens, is multiplied by 2 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. So you can see that if I write it out like that, it is exactly the same as whatever that's being done here. It is a multiplication, so generally I can just erase this thing, and then I can actually just put them side by side. So it actually look like this. So when you look like this, you can actually calculate how many number of tens are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we know that this 10 to the power of 11. Then 3 times 2 is 6. So we will get our answer as 6 times 10 to the power of 11. This is actually what is happening. So your law of indices actually, this is to prove it, that when you multiply it, we will just add the power. So 5 power times, add with 6 power, we get 11 power. Okay, same thing for this one here. So 2 times 8 will get 16, 3 plus 7 will get 10. So we get 16 times 10 to the power of 10. However, you will notice that this is not a standard form because the 16 is more than 10 already. So we need to take out a 10 from it. So we move the decimal place by 1. We will get 1.6 times 10 times 10 to the power of 10. That will make it addition again because 10 is a power of 1. So 1.6 times 10 to the power of 11. So this is how you write in standard form. So when we reach this one here, we need to extract it. Make sure that the number that you have is between 1 until 10. So if you keep that in mind, then your answer will always be correct. If it is like that, your answer is not in standard form because this one is, although you have this 10 to the power of 10 here, this number here is not between the range of 1 to 10. So we cannot accept this as standard form. Standard form is when this one here is between 1 until 10. Okay, let's look at C. C, there's a division. So when there's a division, we also can do it the same way. So this division actually will be inside here and inside here. We'll divide it by these two numbers. So what will happen is, what they show you is in fraction form. So generally, when this happens, it is actually 2.8 times 10 to the power of 6 divided by 1.4 divided by 10 to the power of 4. Okay, so this division actually goes into this and actually goes into this as well. So both numbers will be divided because it's a bracket here. So 2.8 will be divided with the number. You can see here, 2.8 will be divided by the number, we get 2. Then 10 to the power of 6 is divided by 10 to the power of 4. So whenever it is division, if we follow the law of indices, this 4 and this 6, it will be a minus. So 6 minus 4. 6 minus 4, we will get 10 to the power of 2. So this is your answer here. Then we'll go to the addition one. Then I will ask you whether you have any question. So the addition one, you have to make sure that they are both of the same power because we cannot just multiply, we cannot just add them. Because we cannot just take this 10 and add this 10 because there's a multiplication and then there's an addition. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that they are matching. It means that we need to make sure it is 10 to the power of 6. It is easier to make it 10 to the power of 6 because we just have to extract 210 out of this one here. So 3 times 10 times 10 times 10 to the power of 6 because I take out 210. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 tens here, but I want to take out 2 tens to multiply. So I'm expanding it first, then I add it, then I only simplify it. So I will get 300 times 10 to the power of 6. So since it is the same, I will consider the same measurement. So this is 10 to the power of 6, this is 10 to the power of 6. So I can add them up together. So when I add, the power doesn't change. Because the 10 to the power of 6 is like a measurement. It's like kilometers, meters. So when they are the same, the meter and meter add, we don't say it suddenly it's like meter square. It doesn't happen like that. When we add these two together, it remains the same. So we will get 309 times 10 to the power of 6. Then we have to simplify it by taking out so that we can reach the standard form, taking out 2 because we're moving the decimal place by 2, 10 to the power of 2 times 10 to the power of 6. So we will get 3.09 times 10 to the power of 8. That's the answer.